May we have some roll call, please?
Coiner. Here. Greenlee.
Here.
Who? Kefauver.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Peterson.
Here. Here.
Powell. I'm not sure who's up there. Absent. Schurz.
Here.
Spratt here. Walker. Absent. And
She's not.
and Whitmire.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. We do have our first action item, which is approving the November meeting of our group, and it won't take long to review the minutes, will it, this time? I would entertain a motion to approve the November 17th minutes.
So moved. I'll second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded to approve our November minute. Those saying yes for approving, do so.
Yes.
Yes. Abstentions or noes? They are approved. Thank you. Public comment, if you know the weather, it's snowing, it's finally cold. There is no public comment. We'll move on. No business, old business as such, but we do have new business, and we have an opportunity to hear from our director about plans for our next development program decision-making. So, Chad,
All right.
if you will do so,
Yep.
that would be great.
Absolutely. Technical issues, but we'll work through those. Everybody should have the park development proposal package in front of you. So this is sort of one of the funner things that I think you guys as an advisory board get to partake in, and we as a staff enjoy putting together. So again, just some background. This is an annual CIP funding allocation of $350,000 that we use to fund small to medium improvement projects for programs and parks. So every year at this time, we put together through staff, and you guys send us ideas as well. We'll put together a list of projects to go through and to be rated and scored. You should have, if you've checked your email already, the link for the scoring has already been sent to you. So following the presentation, after staff has a chance to walk you through each of the projects in here, the scoring is open. It's a Survey Monkey like last year. One thing we are doing a little bit different in the past, we had a system where you would rate low, medium, high, and then score your top 5, and that was sort of, I don't know, cumbersome in a way. This year, we're just asking you to rank them 1 to 13, and they'll be scored appropriately on a point system based on that. And then the scoring, we would prefer or hope that you guys can complete your scoring survey by January 2nd. Following that, we tally that, and then we send your scores and recommendations on to City Council for prioritization and scoring of the projects. And then we'll come back to you in the, I believe, March meeting, maybe February, with the final slate to be approved based on the scoring. So we're going to walk you through each project, and then if you have questions, we're going to pause at the end of each project for questions rather than saving them all to the end. That way we're not jumping back and forth with staff and everything. So if you have questions, everybody will pause and field questions on any of these at that time. The next slide this is just an update of last year's project. So we always include this just so you, as a reminder of what was approved in the previous fiscal year. And then we've added sort of a status update as where they are as far as progress in completion. The majority of them from last year are in progress. Some have been completed, but most of them will be done by spring. And then The funding, again, just another reminder, the funding for FY14 for this year's program does not become available to the new fiscal year, which is July 1. So most of the planning will be for approved projects will happen next summer when the funding becomes available, with an implementation in fall or the following spring. So that's just sort of the timeline we work off of. Any general questions about the program itself?
The Credit Island Lodging Board, it doesn't show anything in parks, the status. Where's it at?
That one's in the queue. Yeah, there is no update on that one. It's funded. It's in the queue to be done, but there's nothing really to report out on that one right now. Okay, so we will roll into the FY24 projects, starting with the interpretive. Yep, Becca Niles, come on down.
Hello.
So I have these first three projects that I'm going to go over with you. This first one is the interpretive and story walk signage. You have the details here, but I'm going to kind of highlight some of the big things. So this is a two-part project. The first part is I'm working in collaboration with Taylor Schneider, our environmental educator, to develop interpretive signs that will go into some of our parks to help explain some of our conservation efforts. So the no-mow, low-mow, prairie grass, the purposes and why we would have those. But also to put in some things at Vanderveer. One of the concepts I've come up with is a historical timeline that goes along the Grand Allée because that's such a rich history. We wanted to do some more educational signs out at Fedgeberry Learning Center, talking about the history of the park because we get a lot of questions about when it used to be a zoo, and be able to better explain that it's no longer a zoo. People still want it to be. And then doing some of the general signage about no-mow and naturalization efforts. We have those at Eastern Avenue, Prairie Heights, Slattery, Duck Creek, Credit Island, and Garfield. And this is just in an effort to better communicate and educate park users as they're in spaces. The second part is a collaboration with Davenport Public Libraries. Last summer, they had temporary story walks that they did in a few of our parks, and they were very successful. And so when I was talking with my counterpart there, Brittany, she was talking about she was going for a grant to do some permanent ones. And I said, hey, well, we have this program. This would allow us to maybe do multiple, rather than just being able to fund one park, we could do multiple parks and do this as a collaboration. So if you look at justification, you'll see that this is something that I'm asking for half of the cost of the $18,000, and she's working with her friends of Davenport Libraries to come up with the other half so that we can do this in conjunction together and be able to do it in more parks. We're looking at Jersey Farms, Van Buren, and Lafayette. So we identified parks that were, as they see them, in areas that are library deficient, so that we can do some extra literacy activities. And it's something that the stories would change out every 4 to 6 months, and library will take care of doing those. So I'll open up for any questions on this first project.
Great idea.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad that the Davenport Library is in connection. My question is really about what the content would be, and I'm hoping it's beyond nursery rhymes and very familiar, like the ugly caterpillar and those kinds of things. And so what triggered in my mind was the planning and selection guidelines. If there's something really addressed and very visible in creating that, and maybe there be formed like a reaction team that's beyond just our viewpoint of Parks and Rec and Davenport Library. And so when you look at that, my thought was maybe the education component, meaning teachers that get a team together that can go beyond where we are to open up our vision. So those were things that triggered.
So the Storywalk program is a national library initiative as well, and there's these stories that are already produced to be able to fit into these types of display cases. Typically, it's 2 pages of a storybook, and the stories that they choose range from young up to a little bit older, depending, and most of them are going to be somewhat in the middle. You're probably looking at like targeting more of the 3rd to 6th grade reading levels. And so they do have it's part of a national campaign.
That's good to know. Could we get, my curiosity goes beyond that, just seeing what it's like, from, if I go to the library, could I contact someone to see more about what that?
Yeah, I can get you some links, because
That would be awesome.
Brittany shared some of those with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. So the next one is a virtual facility tour. A couple months ago, we had a woman reach out to us. She does 360 and virtual reality type tours. She was doing a project with Visit Quad Cities. And you can actually go to the website. They've got a couple of the locations here around Davenport and the Quad Cities area, where people can look and actually think Google Maps, where you do street view and you're able to move up and down the street and turn around in 360. It's that same kind of concept. And she had reached out to us to help identify as a city, identify some of the spots in Davenport. And it was very interesting to me because I thought this would be a really great way of doing some of that for our own facilities. And so I got in touch with her to talk further about specific projects for us. And we're looking at mostly right now our indoor spaces. There's plans potentially down the road for some of our outdoor spaces and how we can make them interactive. But we are looking at doing Credit Island Lodge and Duck Creek Lodge and Roosevelt Community Center Gymnasium, because those are our 3 indoor spaces that we do rentals. And we get a lot of requests to go and be able to see the spaces before they book. And we would like to make this available online, where people can take their time, could go online, could do a virtual tour. And as part of that component of not just the virtual tour, we can have pop-up windows where they can learn more about what is the table count, what is the chair count, what's the capacity, here's the information on how you can reserve, and then links to actually making reservations or making phone calls to make the reservations. So it's a better way of working with our community. It helps them be able to do this at 9 o'clock at night from their pajamas and the comfort of their couch while they're thinking about it. But it also frees up our staff time in not being able to be necessarily as available to them to do in-person tours. So it's just that first level of them getting familiar with the spaces before they commit to anything. I actually wanted to expand those virtual tours into Davenport Junior Theater, the River's Edge, and our golf courses as well. And we use these, again, as a communication tool. We get a lot of people who call from out of town wanting to know, well, what is the River's Edge? What all can we do there at the River's Edge? And this is something where they can go and test it out before they come out.
Right. So they would be accessed on our site or
Yes.
even beyond that?
They could access, we could have it linked in a couple of different places. It's housed on the server for the company that does it. And we also get updates and maintenance throughout our contract with them. So it's not just like a one and done. If we update information that we want to put on those pop-up windows, we're able to do that as part of the full contract as well.
Will there be an access point at River's Edge?
Yes.
Someone came in? Okay.
Yes, yep. We want to do, and River's Edge and Junior Theater are going to be our most expansive and extensive, because we've got so much that happens in those spaces, and there's so many different avenues. So those 2 are the bigger projects of all of these.
I know there's free tools that do similar things. I don't know if you've reached out to City IT or anybody to see if there's anybody in-house that could maybe do this for cheaper. I mean, I'm sure it's good business for the woman that reached out to you, but I mean, it just seems like a lot of money for what can be done with a smartphone, essentially. I mean, obviously the hosting and the maintenance, but there's I don't know, just Googling real quick here. Google used to have a thing to do this yourself, but they've taken it down.
Yeah.
And that was fully free, but there are free or cheaper options at least.
Krista?
Yes.
Then it's absolutely worth 17,000, and it'll save money long run.
And the way that I initially set this up with her was to do it in phases. And so that the priority right now is definitely our indoor spaces that are reservation heavy. So I do have it broken into 2 phases if need be.
Other questions?
Okay?
Looking good. We know how to find you.
Yep.
Right.
And so
Great
I got
ideas.
one more project in park operations. And this is a result of our dog park ad hoc committee. After our last meeting, I had a chat with them about, what are some of the amenities that we could do or invest into specifically into the Centennial Dog Park. And their immediate reaction was, we'd love to get some agility equipment back in there again, something that's a little bit more diverse than what we have currently there. So they sent in some suggestions, and this project would be in partnership with Betsy and her crew. And some of the things that they talked about was, we're looking at 4 to 5 agility pieces, the weaving poles, so the pictures are examples. They were, one of the things that kept coming up a whole lot with our dog park ad hoc was the undulations and then the tunnels that the dogs could run through. Some of the jumping hoops and then the jumping bars.
I think it's needed very much myself. My question goes beyond this. Let's
Sure.
assume that it is a reality, high on our priorities. It came to training and classes for using the equipment, level appropriate incentives developed to complete the process of training, something like that. And lots of early demonstration things by, we've got several training, classing businesses, and so
Yeah.
having those kinds of things. So let's assume it's a reality, but I think we need to go beyond that to make sure the public is trained. It isn't just, get and go kind of thing, and some people don't know how to encourage a
Right.
dog to do something.
Yeah.
As I'm learning. But yeah,
Some of the comments that came out of I'm looking at the ad hoc, was programming, having potential training classes, partnering with some of the trainers in town to have some more of that kind of more dedicated, not necessarily just the free play, but to offer times where we were doing, people could sign up for dog training courses and stuff like that.
good.
So
I'm
we
glad
are
that's-
exploring programming as well.
Great, that's good to hear. Other questions? Do you have a question, sir?
No, I think she's done an excellent job.
Okay.
As far as the virtual tours, the more information we get out to the public and the city of Davenport and people that want to come into the city of Davenport, this is the way to do it. Perfect.
Virtual tours, yes.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, James.
May I ask what kind of, which company the lady worked for provide the virtual?
I am completely blanking on her name. I think it's 360 Photography. I have her website and her contact information. I'm happy to share that out with you guys. I have also links. The Putnam Museum has the virtual tours available. And like I said, part of the Visit Quad Cities.
They're all designed by the same company.
Yep.
Okay. Krista has a,
Yeah.
Marks, please.
I just wanted to talk about the dog subcommittee. The signage about the bacteria and diseases for dog waste, I think is important because people don't know about it and what dog waste does if left and accumulating. I think it'd be really important to just put a couple of those signs around town so we see more people, put their waste in the trash.
Yeah, I believe next month is our dog park. So the ad hoc committee next month at the PAB will be bringing you guys the copy of the standards and that a lot of the there's not just rules and reminders, but we also talked about some of the important just kind of caution signs that we want to be able to share. So that came up a lot, is signage in the dog parks, so.
Other remarks? Well, I guess we'll move on to
All right.
another thing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Betsy Tubbs, Senior Parks Manager. So thank you. So the past 5 to 7-ish years, we've been working very hard at replacing playgrounds that need to be replaced. So the first one that you will see on your list from Parks for this regard is Cork Hill. It was installed in 2002. So we've gotten a good 20 years out of it. It's due for replacement. ARPA, there will be some ARPA money spent in Cork Hill Park. So it's one of those things where if you paint one wall, all of a sudden that wall you didn't think you needed painting, it really looks like it needs painting. We're gonna have a really nice new spray park. We're gonna have a nice new multi-sport court. I'm really afraid this playground's gonna show its age if we don't get it replaced here soon. So, any questions on that one? No. The next one is kind of a fun one. You guys are aware that we were able to hire a full-time environmental and horticulture educator. And Taylor is ridiculously creative in her programming efforts and what she'd like to do. And those of you that have been around Davenport for a few years remember that there used to be a store in the entryway of the Vanderveer Conservatory. Due to some budget cuts, that store was removed with the idea of it being an education space. Lots of staff turnover, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of been sitting relatively unused. So this project would give some money to make that into a true education space so that Taylor could provide programming, that any of the other recreation supervisors, if they had ideas, could provide programming in that space. It's just gonna make it much more usable for that building. So any questions on that one? Next on the list is the Monroe Playground. Monroe and Cork Hill both are in the top 5 of our oldest playgrounds. So those are the why those two were chosen. So again, it was built in 1998, which I'm sure was a great year, but it is due for replacement. Any questions? The next project is a park amenities project. And this is just kind of a lump sum to try to get us a bulk of picnic tables and trash cans, things that need to be replaced annually. This allows us to do it in a larger sum. To answer the question that might be going through your head, why isn't this an operating expense? In a perfect world, it would be, but my budget is ridiculously tight and doesn't allow for me to purchase more than maybe 1 or 2. This is gonna obviously allow me to purchase a lot more and save the bidding cycle and all that I have to do repeatedly if I buy them in smaller quantities.
How long will those trash cans last? I mean,
They last a long time unless somebody decides to take a hammer to them.
okay, because I can see the picnic tables, but
Yeah, the trash cans will last a long time. But if you're familiar with the parks, drive through the parks, kind of look, we have a lot of the old concrete trash cans. I'd like to replace those. That's obviously a very dated look. It's an economical look, but it's not the best look.
Would this ensure that some of the picnic tables are prioritized? There are some that just have very rough boards.
Yes.
You mentioned Monroe Park, but there's some
Yes.
pretty old things there that I know about, but.
Yep. Yeah, we have a wish list of locations and they wouldn't all go to one park. We would definitely be spreading this throughout the system. So each park would probably see some love.
okay, what would the picnic tables be made of? Would it be recycled material so that you
It would be, we would bid them, so we could look, obviously, I want to get the most bang for the buck. While I would love to do all recycled, those are also relatively more expensive. So we could come to you guys, you know, in the future and say, okay, I can get 50 of these, but if you prefer these, I could get 30. If you prefer these, I could get 15. You know, there's a huge price difference in.
Vera has a comment.
I just have a quick question. This Monroe Park, I'm still trying to, the little smaller parks.
Yep.
What, is this adjunct to Monroe School?
No,
Okay, I just wanted to double
yeah,
check.
no,
so-
it's,
Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, what are we
Yeah,
gonna do that, so.
yeah, and unfortunately,
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
no.
Okay.
No, it's on Fourth Street. Third, and just west of, or east of Division. Market, yeah, Division.
Near Harris Pizza on Third, as I
Yes, yes,
recall.
yes.
Is that the good landmark? Little plug. Yeah, yeah, great. But I too thought first, I had a comment, you know, but we don't have school at Monroe, and then I went, ding dong, that's not right. So we're all clear on that one, that's good.
All right, and the last one for me are some permanent, I say permanent, we would take those down, we would take these down in the winter. But currently at the spray park, we have umbrellas, which get put up every morning and get taken down every night. These shade structures would go up in May and be taken down in August, late August, September, to provide shade for our splash pad participants. So splash pads are great, but they're a lot of concrete and it gets really, really hot. So, and the second part of this would be providing shade out at our bocce courts, which are actually outside of the Red Hawk Golf Course, the Red Hawk Event Center. We have bocce courts out there that are used by, hopefully will be used more by our citizens, but they're heavily used by our Special Olympics program that Sherry oversees.
So those shades, you said they come down
Yeah.
in August or September? Those are normally the hotter months besides May and June or, you know.
Our splash park closes Labor Day,
Oh, gotcha, makes
so
sense.
it'd come down after that.
Yep.
But yeah, bocce courts we'd keep up later.
Keep up, yep, gotcha.
Okay. Other remarks, comments? Thank you.
All right.
Good. Oh, Krista.
I just
we
want to
said-
say I'm really excited about those trash cans. I was like, all the trash cans down Gaines, I'm like, I just like beating a dead horse, but thank you so much.
Thanks for that.
Teresa Hallman, Senior Recreation Manager. I have a couple of projects here. The first one is for some new fun equipment for our camps and special events. We would be able to utilize them for a lot of our larger community things. And it would be for both of our campsites, Roosevelt and then Collins House, or we are just acquiring a new gym space. I say gym because it's a tight size gym, but it would be a good location, we think, for our camp on the east side, because it's at the Anniewick Complex, which is kind of close to our pool and some of our other support things. But it would be for equipment for in and outside for the kids to utilize, as well as, like I said, our families at our larger community events. Any questions about that one?
Teresa?
Yep.
From the photos that are here, I'm just asking, it looks like a great opportunity for use of portable equipment. That's a
Yes.
tetherball and you just screw it into the ground. Is that going to be kind of an emphasis?
Some of our stuff, some of it will be site dependent, but most of it will be able to be used at other sites. And then the junior theater dance floor replacement, I think the justification was pretty well written, but Daniel says about every 10 to 12 years, we definitely need a new one, or it takes a toll also on the stage as well. And we're just at that point, so. Is there any questions about that? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And I might not tell him that, but usually when they do ask, they definitely do need, so. Any other questions? I will hand it on.
Okay, we'll move on.
I'm definitely not used to being on this side of you guys. I like my quiet corner. So I have the message and menu digital screens. While moving around the last couple of years, I noticed that our menu boards at the golf courses and the river's edge are outdated. Some of them use the old Pepsi letters that slide back and forth. We have updated to some printed menus, but as products become available and not available, it's hard to replace those. So the thought is we're gonna purchase some large screen TVs, put them in safety enclosures, especially being inside of concession areas. These would not only be menu boards, but the idea is to have some kind of marketing piece on the side where we can talk about specials. We can talk about places inside the river's edge that can be rented, maybe welcoming golfers back in the beginning of the season. This is just to really kind of start the process of updating the overall look at our revenue facilities to make them more intriguing. New experience?
To a golf course or any facility should come up with some kind of, they should expect a new experience of something new that's happening that makes them want to come back. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Haven't seen it before. My comment when I read that was, what do our competitors use? Like to the east? If we're kind of trend setting or a new look, that's kind of nice, that new experience.
We're behind.
We are behind,
Yeah,
okay. Well, it's time to move up, right?
Yeah, this is the trend for newer complexes, digital, that's flexible, easy to change information, update information, give additional information, new experiences, all of that. So, yeah, the clubhouses and River's Edge concessions are behind.
Krista, comments?
How much are we spending on I imagine marketing is included as well?
There is a line item for someone to create these if they're not done in-house.
I was just curious because screens are really low price right now. I just want to let you know. So I was curious where the rest of the budget went other than the screens.
So the protective covers that I have for this project, actually, you mount the TV directly to them. They have cooling fans, and they're made for indoor and outdoor, just because some of them will be mounted right above like a grill area. So protecting that was very important.
So that was the most expensive?
Yes, ma'am. The cheapest one for the smallest TV, I would think, is running about $2,200 to keep those safe.
All right, thank you.
So I think I was kind of aligned with Krista in that question. And I know golf courses are Jerry's baby, so I'm gonna tiptoe nicely. I'm just curious. So I'm looking, I was like $15,000, and the digital boards, absolutely. But I've seen them, and I know where people, they mirror each other and they talk to each other, and it's not that costly.
So
to
some
do
additional
that.
costs that are in this, some of these facilities are older, so we are gonna have to bring in electricians because power supply might not be available, or we would have cords trailing off that we really don't wanna see.
Right.
When we take down the old menu boards, we need to freshen up that look and make sure we're not putting something nice on Betsy's painted
That-
wall.
yeah.
And then there are some just visually appealing things, maybe some shelf changes. We have an old air conditioner in one area that it's really gonna drive people's eye that way, that we wanna clean up. So this is a little bit more than just the boards. We wanna make sure that we're freshening up that entire space.
Right. Because I think all the TVs, screens, they're all Bluetooth, capable as far, but I didn't realize that it's the cosmetic upgrades that as well as this.
We wanted this to be a full package, not just a TV onto a screen or onto the wall.
Okay.
Good questions.
Any other question?
Are we, well, I don't think
I have
so.
to go
Those
hit
are
the
good questions.
button so it can go to the next.
Well,
project.
please do.
Okay, so Troy has had a previously planned vacation for this meeting, so I'm gonna walk through his golf items, and then Ryan Devlin is here for the last one on River's Edge. So the first thing Troy submitted is a boom mower attachment. This is an attachment piece. If you remember last year, this program funded the Vent Track mower, which is the specialized mower. This is an attachment for that piece. This will allow us to be more flexible in maintaining our slopes along our creek sides and our detention ponds on the golf courses. It'll also be used cross-departmentally for other purposes. The Ventrac mower is on order, and we should expect it sometime this spring, hoping to have this attachment in line with that or shortly thereafter when the funding becomes available if this is prioritized. Questions on that one?
Where is this equipment going to be housed? Where's the protection on this equipment with the new attachment? I mean,
Yeah.
that, if word gets out, it could walk away, you know,
Yeah,
I'm not.
no, it'll be either secured at the Duck Creek Maintenance Facility or EMICE, I would imagine. I don't know specifically where.
Jerry's backyard.
Where,
No.
which course, but it'll be utilized at all three courses as well as from time to time within park operations. But
Thank you.
yeah, all our newer equipment is secured inside our
Good.
buildings.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Right.
Got a brand-new 100-foot building in Imai.
My guess is that that's where it'll be. I
Plus the
just
old
need to
building is still
confirm
there.
with Troy. I don't know. But
Yeah, good. It's good to know. Move on?
Okay. The next one is just some, to allow for some cosmetic upgrades, and I think this came from some feedback we got from you guys regarding the new building, as Jerry mentioned, at EMICE, makes the older buildings look pretty bad, so there's some structural and facelift things to be done with this that would improve the old maintenance buildings at EMICE, as well as the one building that faces the 12th green at Duck Creek, just to give it a more visual and some structural upgrades. Pretty simple. Questions?
It looks like it needs an upgrade. That's quite a photo there. Yeah.
Garage door on, maybe on the other side.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I don't know whether you guys have looked at that or not, but
I can follow up and ask.
something to look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next project is the practice tee area at Duck Creek Golf Course. This is essentially, if any of you came out for the Cosmic Golf Night, or if you utilize the Duck Creek Golf practice range at all, will notice that it's pretty uneven. It needs to be re-leveled. This will also include some additional mats that will improve the tee experience. So this is a deferred maintenance project that he's had on his list for a while and is bringing forward now. Questions on that one?
And I think to bring that backed up is that where EMI's, they can go out on the grass and
Yep.
tee up out there and move it around out there, where Duck Creek, you can't do that here. There's no room there.
And the swap out in this one and changing out the mats, the tee component area will be flexible to where as that wears, we can just swap those areas out rather than the way it currently is, we need to do larger sections to do that as they wear. So it'll be a maintenance efficiency in the long run for us.
And the other thing, what Matt tells me, there's not enough room that they can hit off the grass if they, at Duck Creek.
Right.
Which I don't think there is.
Right.
Okay.
So, the next project is the purchase of range ball equipment. This is a automated range ball machine for the indoor golf range at River's Edge. as well as 3 range ball washing machines for the other 3 courses. So this is a equipment upgrade. The thing with the bringing in a machine for the indoor range at River's Edge, that gives us some efficiencies from a staffing perspective. If you're familiar with how that operates now, you have to check in at the front desk and get a bucket and balls, and if you want another bucket, you got to walk back. So this is an opportunity to operate that indoor range similar to how we're operating our outdoor ranges, to where they would just purchase tokens, however many they want, and then be able to access the range balls from adjacent to the arena to where the tee box is. And then the other 3 things are just the new ball washers that help clean the range balls. So
What about the sign that's at the receptionist desk about welcome, golf is now available and the machines are down in the T-ball? Is that different than what this is? You can put coins in and what? Okay, hey, yeah, I noticed that there's a similar,
Currently, we are using one of golf's old dispensing machines.
Thank you.
Part of the replacement would be a cosmetic issue. The old one has been outside for 15 or 20 years, and it shows that. So it's placed in the arena and is kind of sticks out like a sore thumb there because it's a little rusty and dated and old, and there might be some leaves falling out of it here and there. And so this would be a replacement for that.
well, it'd be good to introduce to our patrons of the range that would be coming, the new form, so it's.
Yeah, we could easily advertise that on the current machine, so the current golfers would see what amenities are coming moving forward.
Yeah, well, when I read this, I went, but it's already happening.
Yeah,
So
we're
you've
kind
explained that for me.
of, this
Thank
was
you.
kind of a trial period for that. We brought one of the old golf machines that's functional in to see how it would work and how the crowd would take it as a change in the operation. So far so good, but it's very early.
I think it's a great idea. My question that triggered was the picking up of balls. And I'm wondering, have we ever talked with our special needs clientele about a pickup time that they could be employed, picking up the balls and the.
It would certainly be an option. I don't see any reason why it would not.
We had a young man who helped clean the restrooms and stuff, but the first thought was, well, maybe there's a pickup time and it would give them an opportunity for employment,
Sure.
but it triggered, so I'm just reporting.
Yeah, we could
thought.
certainly explore that.
Yeah, I don't know.
we can look into that.
Not when someone's doing golf,
No, right.
but
Yeah.
so maybe an opportunity.
Yep.
I'll kind of speak to that a little bit, I think.
Okay.
Since I look out my back window or sit out there and they're picking up balls, and they're driving around in a golf cart with a mechanism in the front that picks those balls up. So whoever goes out and picks up balls out there has to be able to maneuver that machine around.
I'm speaking only to the indoor arena
The
at
indoor
River's
range
Edge.
at River's
Okay.
Edge.
So that's a very confined spot.
We have a push unit on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's something, I don't
Right.
know, but it just triggered.
sure.
I wanted to share that.
Any other questions on that project? Okay, one more under golf, and then Ryan will, oh, sorry, Krista, I didn't see you.
Is there, are we donating the other machine or get people into golf somehow or? I don't know.
Typically, any surplus equipment that the city has to dispose of goes on the government auction site. That's how we have to dispose of surplus equipment. So if we get rid of it, that's the mechanism. Okay, the last one in golf is pretty simple. It's the acquisition of 2 Gator vehicles or utility vehicles, John Deere Gators. We currently utilize utility carts, and they're through our leasing program. This would help us by purchasing outright, would help us reduce some leasing costs to the golf operations. The other thing with this is it could be utilized, these could be utilized cross-departmentally. We get requests time to time from the police department as well as Public Works for Gators. Sometimes they need them for special investigations or things like that. So this would provide 2 Gators that would not only benefit the golf operations, but potentially other departments within the city. All right. Questions on Gators?
Does the lease for the existing ones come out of, like you said, operations? I mean, money that could be spent on staffing or other.
Correct, yeah. So
More useful thing.
It's part of our cart fleet lease now in the golf operation fund, so it would reduce that expenditure to where we could reallocate some of that funding to other needs within the golf fund. So. Okay, last one is Mr. Ryan Devlin.
So our, save best for last, right? Yeah. So our last project that we're requesting funding for is just kind of a facelift for the River's Edge concession stand. We did not put a current photo up because it was more sad than the EMI's building, and wait a minute, nobody wants to see all that. But our countertops and cabinetry for the concession stand are facing the public. So they are one of the first experiences the public have when they approach the concession stand, and they are originals of the facility from 1994. So besides having just a dated look in general, they are definitely nearing end of life. We're having issues with hinges and doors and things like that, and having difficulty doing some of those repairs due to the age of the on-site equipment. We can't find the parts and those types of things. This also gives us an opportunity to address the issue that we have with the counter height. They are currently not ADA accessible heights, and this change in the countertops and cabinetry would allow us to meet ADA requirements with the new countertops. Any addition or any remaining funding from that project would then just be used for end-of-life equipment as well. We have several pieces of equipment, warmers, cookers, things like that we use that have been through the entire duration of the city ownership and some prior to the city ownership of this facility. So anywhere from 10 to 15 years old, which is end of life for most food service stuff.
Yeah. Questions for Ryan?
Questions?
The pictures are beautiful, but they are not what they current are. And if you think that all of this would be, that's a question. You see these, I see like a coffee machine, et cetera. I assume that in our replacement, there would be staff on the other side and individuals, patrons who want, they wouldn't be able to go in and do a lot of self-serve.
No.
Yeah,
That first image is kind of self-serve look. No, the second image would be more of what we're looking for, which is a window type operation. We wouldn't change the functionality of the amenity. It would still be walk up, be serviced by an employee. We don't have a self-serve menu at this point. So there are many things that we do prepare and wouldn't be conducive to the operation.
That's good for everyone to know. Questions about that? Come down to River's Edge and take a look before you vote, right?
Absolutely.
That might be a way to do that.
I have a question.
Sure, Jerry.
On that concession stand, I mean, you have an awful lot of people go down to the River's Edge for ice skating or whatever other things that they do. And this basically is just for drinks mostly, am I correct?
No, we have a full menu of hot dogs, pretzels.
Oh, you do have all of that
nachos,
in there?
cold sandwiches.
I guess I've never been over there, but,
Come on out, I'll give you a tour.
well, yeah, I'll come over.
I can talk about it for hours.
I might get lucky, get a free hot dog or something, maybe. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
we'll
kidding.
set you up with lunch, it's fine.
But no, I'd like to see it because I think there's a lot of dollars that you can gain from revenue from those type of
Yeah,
facilities. and
ultimately, the
concessions.
facility offers 3 amenities, and those amenities are ice-related activities, turf-related activities, and concessions.
Okay, great.
There was a replacement of tables and accessible seating at various heights. And if you're down there, you will see families that gather around a table and they're eating pizza and all that. So they choose that before they go into their, competitions or the lessons. So it's well utilized, and it seems like the menu is pretty popular for the
Well,
entire
and it's
family.
kind of lends to what Betsy said about Cork Hill Park. We added $40,000, is that roughly, in tables and chairs and seating areas through the main hallway and concourse of the building, which kind of then, again, makes that concession stand countertop in its gray Formica really look 1985. So we do have a lot of places for people to sit and enjoy their meals. We just want to give them that same, aesthetic when they're purchasing their meals.
Other questions? Who?
Just curious, how much revenue that concession stand create annually?
Oh, geez.
I'm just curious.
I think the last couple of fiscal years are tough because COVID had affected and then staffing has been kind of difficult.
Before COVID?
Prior to 2020, I want to say the revenue line was like around 65,000
Per year?
per year, yes.
That would be the potential, I think, at the height, but Ryan's right, like, COVID impact, and now the larger issue is staffing.
Right.
We are very much
So you're
struggling
thinking
to
about-
find people to work the
Right,
concession
so
stands,
through
so.
the renovation, you're thinking about we have some amenities so we can reduce the people working in the concession stand because renovation?
Potentially, we're looking at other avenues, either through volunteerism with some of our user groups or simply getting the rate of pay up. I mean, we pay our concessions start at $8 an hour. So that might tell you why we are not getting applicants.
Can we change? I can see myself.
I am working diligently through our HR and finance department to elevate
this
some of
guy.
our bottom pay rates.
These
You okay?
You guys are doing a great job, and going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Going in the right direction. And we have a facility at, and it happens at Duck Creek too as well, but at EMI's, they have a place where you can cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, or whatever, not so much dinner, but lunch, and we never have anybody there to do anything with it. So I hope this spills over into the EMI's group. And I know Matt he's got his little facilities, I mean, it's right in front of him, right by the, you stand behind there and he can do it right there and he doesn't have to go, but where EMI's, it's got that real long, we got all the facilities to do that. It's just an awful lot of revenue. And not only that, but that could be, again, a new experience of, God, I think I'm just gonna go down, I'm not gonna play golf today, I'm just gonna go down and have lunch at the golf course.
Maybe.
Thank you.
A new beginning. Thank you, Ryan. Oh, hey, Sarah.
Hi. So just to touch on a couple of things. When we were talking, you were just discussing with the $8 an hour pay range. So there is a large community of people who can't work that many hours a week, or they can't work so many hours a year. To me, that would be perfect for, and I think I talked to Becca about the TAP program. Those would be the people to reach out to. And the reason being is a lot of these kids are getting ready to graduate. I know my son is one. He has disability. He wants work experience, but it's that fine line. He may go and he's gonna go to college, but he may go and manage it great, but other kids may go and working 40 hours a week, and that is just not something, because there's different levels of disabilities, basically. So that, another thing to reach out and exhaust, and they get new kids every year. These kids unfortunately are not going anywhere. The struggle is getting worse and worse academically and just overall with coming youth. So I wanted to share that. And then I've often wondered something. So I was one of those special kids who had a privilege of spending half of my week off of 9th and Gaines and the other half a week 1 block from Cork Hill. So we called it Goose Hollow. I'm guessing that's the same name between Gaines and Ripley there. What is that? What are they, is that us? What is that? We've always sled there and we would play, but we never knew whose it was. Right.
Land east of
Gaines,
east of Harrington
from
Park.
Harrington.
Yep.
It used to have that's where the original tennis courts
Okay, so yeah,
were.
so that is, that was that was school-owned property.
Okay.
And the city did acquire that, the Natural Resources Division acquired that. It looks to do some wetland mitigation, some of that. So we've kind of taken over mowing, because Natural Resources doesn't have mowers.
Right.
And then there's also the community gardens that
Yeah,
are there. Yep,
down by
that-
Ripley.
Yep, that
Yeah.
the alder person is working with a neighborhood group to keep those going, as Iowa State Extension has backed out of that location for that.
Oh, okay, all right, that was it, thank you.
Krista, there we go. Krista?
They are looking for more people to fill those community gardens. I own a lot across from that area, and I'm always trying to get them to do something, but a lot of them are at the age where they're not maintaining them. So, but other than that, it is a really good community project, but there's just not enough people involved.
Normally, rugby, they always play rugby. From Palmer down there in that field, like I said, we went sledding, we did all
There's a
kinds
lot
of
of,
things down there, so.
Displaced homeless people now living in
Oh.
those areas, so it's actually a lot, a little bit more dangerous.
I can see that in the woods, that weird wooded area around here.
I'm going to say. Go.
On the Eastern Iowa Community College, they have a culinary art program there. So probably can have some collaboration to create a spatial learning class for them to provide the volunteers for the concession stands. I mean, that might be a possibility, like 30 hours, 50 hours during the semester. That's what we did for the Crusty Storms. So our students do 50 hours for them, every student. So I have 18 students, so who could contribute 900 hours for storms. So, but I don't teach culinary. So, that's my class with sport event management. So they help Storm to manage their events, the games. So they're probably a possible option to get the people with culinary knowledge to help the concession stand, not only regular volunteers.
We have some great ideas triggered, and so looking at our remaining agenda and our time, are we good to move on? And we say thank you. What?
I can discuss it with you after. It was just an addition. So my youngest son, who is the one with the IEP, he is in culinary, and there's a program, he's going to go to Scott, but there's a program called ProStart that is with the school district, that's what those kids, they do, and a lot of them may not have the ability to go directly to college, and that would be another, like you said, reach out, but I can give Becca that information too, sorry.
We have great
That's it.
resources aboard. Yeah. Are we ready to move on? We got a wonderful thank you on the screen, and we do have staff reports, our next agenda item, so
Yeah, I don't have a
Yes.
lot. Just a reminder, holiday closures for our department and the city in general next Friday and the following Monday, so the 23rd and 26th. Staff will be off. River's Edge will be open except for the actual holiday. And then if you haven't been up to the February light display, or even if you haven't been up since Monday, go back up and take a look. There's a new addition, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at what has been added. So I will keep that a secret, and you guys can let me know.
And the opening time is in our packet under holiday closures and then Vanderveer Conservatory. And then I thought it said where the conservatory is open. Where is that I read that? 5 to 9? Isn't it 5 to 9? Oh, well,
Previous page.
previous page, 5:30 to 9. On the days of, yeah,
And Saturday
okay, Vanderveer.
until 7 PM.
Okay, yeah,
So on this coming Saturday is until 7 PM.
to 7
7 p.m.
Great. Make a note of that. And holiday light display, Jerry was very good at wrapping poles and trees, and I got in on a couple of trees, so be sure to go to February as well. Other comments? Well, we'll look for the surprise. Yeah, okay, good.
I was looking at like, I'm getting bids for the Dream Project and, you know, looking at the city bid website, and there's not a lot of people doing contracting. And so the prices are pretty high. If we could find more contractors to bid on some of this work, I think a lot of the Dream Project money would go farther, possibly Park, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people are going in for bids. So just, I guess, communicate to contractors, you know, that there's work there available.
Great, great. You also received via our message email the written staff report. And now is the time to take a look again. And if there are some questions, let us know. And we have staff here for that. I just say a comment that the projects that have been accomplished because of the weather conditions, et cetera, has been awesome, as you reported that. Vanderveer took a lot of trees down again that I saw as I went through. Well, weather helped us on that, so that was great to have that report. Other comments? I just had a question. Who were the recipients at the annual dance marathon? That's okay, yeah.
The recipient of the money from the Dance Marathon event goes to, is the Iowa City Children's Hospital Networks.
Okay, wonderful.
So that's what the Dance Marathon organization does, is they help sponsor children and their families and help them with day-to-day tasks, whether it be events, babysitting, whatnot.
Okay, that's great to know. Didn't know. So that was organized by that outside group, or how?
Yes, St. Ambrose has a Dance Marathon organization, and we've worked with that organization for an event the first Saturday in December every year for 10 or 11 years now.
Awesome. I needed to know that, so, and I think others now know that as well. Thanks, Ryan. Any other questions?
Wendy, just an
Okay.
FYI.
Yeah.
Becca has developed a Parks Project webpage. So on our website, it includes ARPA projects as well as our ongoing CIP projects. So those get updated monthly or sooner if there's updates to put up there. So that's an easy way for you guys to kind of check in on projects.
Right, that's good to know.
On web pages.
Yeah, and Chris is going to give us an update on the Riverfront Improvement Commission, if you would, please.
Well, we didn't have an official meeting in November, and we're not meeting in December. We have a meeting in January. We had a work session in November. Obviously, there's a lot in flux with Steve having resigned. The city's looking at various ways to structure it, potentially taking some jobs that Steve did that were not in really the Riverfront Improvement Commission director's wheelhouse, like real estate type stuff, showing some of the properties downtown and taking those off of his, or well, not his, but his replacement's plate. Other things like that, that there's departments within the city that can handle contract writing instead of that director, and then potentially hiring someone that's more events and activation based. Because like when Steve started off in that position, he wasn't planning all the boat visits and the Quinlan Commons concerts and just all these events and the Freight House stuff that he ended up doing. So the city's looking at different options for that, and hopefully taking away the kind of silly system where the city gives Riverfront Improvements $70,000 and then they give $50,000 of it to Parks Department to mow their parks. And whenever I tell that to citizens, they're very confused about why the city's paying itself to do various things. So, yep, there's a lot happening there, and I'll report back in January.
Good to know. Thank you. Any questions, Chris? I know he'll have a complete report when there is some available. Thank you. Advisory time. We have learned a lot through our looking at the projects coming up. Is there anything else that comes to mind in regard to information for us or potential topics in future meetings? Yeah, Chris.
This came up at Riverfront Improvement work session. Actually, somebody asked about the warming house at Vanderveer, and they were unaware that there was still ever ice skating at Vanderveer. And I told them that there can be when it's ever cold enough, which it isn't always anymore. But the other question I had related to that is I see that the temporary rink that was never really activated last year is back up at Vanderveer. Is that going to be announced or used at some point, I hope?
So yeah, as soon as the weather gets cold enough, we will be putting the liner in there. The reason it was not used last year is once we put the liner in there, someone vandalized it. So the liner would not hold water. So looks like temperatures next week are gonna start dropping where we should be able to get some ice forming in there. So look for that next week, and we will get it to Becca once it's opened, and she'll do her magic on social media and let people know it's ready.
And then the warming house, is that permanently out of commission, or is that potentially able to be rehabbed into being a warming house again?
So I feel like a broken record, but staffing is a huge deal. You know, to be able to find somebody, you know, to offer a job to Mike, to say, hey, Mike, you want to be a warming house attendant? You might get to work, but you might not. So would you like to accept that job? You know, I mean, it's just very, very difficult to staff that.
But
so.
the building itself is capable.
The building is capable. It is not accessible by any means.
I've been in it years ago.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. So.
Okay, I don't remember who asked it at Riverfront Improvement, but it was just a way off topic question about parks, so I thought I'd ask.
Got your question answered, right?
Yep.
Any other comments, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn our meeting. Those saying, let's go, say aye.
Aye.
Any people who want to stay and have more meeting, say yes. Thank you. Yeah, I tried to catch you, and they want to say, have a great holiday time. And thanks again for the card. Very much appreciated. And we'll see you in January on the 19th here. Thanks. Bye. Yeah. Oh, I think this.